At the beginning of the story, we are introduced to a girl named Han Hub. She appears to be an ordinary girl, but she possesses a unique superpower. She can see red lines of sexual attraction running over people's heads. One day, she stands by her window, observing the red lines above the people outside. Each line represents a relationship or attraction between individuals. Suddenly, she notices a girl with several lines emerging from her head. That girl looks up at Han, smiles, and says hello. But Han panics and quickly shuts the window. A flashback reveals scenes from Han's childhood. We see young Han drawing with her father, when suddenly two red lines appear above his head. Her mother notices them too and, realizing that her husband is having an affair, is devastated. This revelation drives her to murder him. Witnessing this tragedy, Han becomes convinced that her ability to see these red lines could destroy people's lives. As a result, she isolates herself, refusing to speak to or interact with anyone. Falling into deep depression, Han even attempts to end her life. At times by jumping off the roof or cutting herself with a knife. Yet each time, she mysteriously recovers, as though nothing had happened. This leads her to wonder if there's a deeper purpose to her existence. Eventually, she decides to uncover the mystery behind these S-lines. What are they really? And can they be removed? Meanwhile, the girl Han saw earlier at the window shows up at her doorstep, carrying fruit as a gift. But Han refuses to open the door. The girl quietly leaves the fruit and walks away. Later, Han opens the door, brings the fruit inside, and begins to eat. It's as if she hasn't eaten in days. The scene then shifts. We are introduced to a police officer named Ji-wook, who is speaking with a colleague at the station. He complains that his niece, Sean A., is too headstrong. She doesn't listen to him, nor does she respond when spoken to. The next scene takes place at a school, where we see a girl named Hae-young brutally beating Ji-wook's niece on the rooftop. Hae-young is extorting money from her and threatening her. Meanwhile, we see Ji-wook investigating a case where a girl has died under mysterious circumstances. At the scene, he finds a food delivery box, giving him a clue that the victim had ordered food before her death. Another detective mentions that a man wearing a helmet was seen leaving the building late at night, possibly a delivery driver. Ji-wook returns to the police station, where his partner, Detective Dong-sik, is waiting. Dong-sik explains that theft doesn't appear to be the motive, as the victim's money was untouched. Ji-wook then asks if they've looked into the food delivery person. Dong-sik replies that while the victim often ordered food, there was no order placed on the night of the murder. When they look into her relationships, Dong-sik reveals that the girl had a breakup a year ago and had been single since. Meanwhile, Han is watching the news about the same girl's murder. The report mentions a man in a helmet as a potential suspect. When Han sees a single red S-line on his head, something extremely rare, she is stunned. Moments later, she spots a man wearing a helmet entering the building across from hers. He looks exactly like the suspect. Frightened, Han calls the police to report a suspicious man entering the building. But when she realizes it's just a couple, boyfriend and girlfriend, she hangs up. Suddenly, everything around her fades to darkness, and only the red S-lines remain visible, glowing ominously as if warning her of danger. Back at school, Hae-young remarks that Sienna didn't come to school that day. She breaks into Sienna's locker and mocks a love letter she finds inside. Elsewhere, we see Ji-wook at home. Sienna comes to him asking for money. He quietly hands her all the cash he has and promises to bring more the next day. When he asks why she needs so much, she avoids answering and walks away mysteriously. Later, Ji-wook stands on his balcony and looks toward Han's building, recalling that the call from last night came from there. He decides to check it out and goes to Han's door. Han, meanwhile, is panicked. She sees multiple slits or red S-lines branching out from her head. Ji-wook asks if she knows anything about the incident. A neighbor chimes in, saying Han never leaves her apartment and that even someone else takes her trash out. Han finally opens the door and says, "I made a mistake. That man was her boyfriend." Then she quietly closes the door again. The scene shifts. A man wearing a helmet enters the same building again. This time, Han sees him and, despite her fear, grabs a knife and heads out. However, due to her weakness, she collapses. She forces herself up, sensing that something bad is about to happen. Meanwhile, the girl who thought the man in the helmet was her boyfriend is shocked when he removes the helmet. It's Jong-min, the real killer. Jong-min, who can also see the S-lines, begins to strangle her. Han arrives and tries to save the girl, but Jong-min snatches the knife from her and is about to stab her when Jae-wook appears and shoots him. After the incident, Han is terrified. Jae-wook gently returns her glasses to her. She asks, "Who was that man?" Jae-wook replies, "I'll tell you everything." At that moment, Soo-hyuk arrives and asks Han, "What are you doing here?" Jae-wook looks at them both and asks, "You two know each other?" The scene ends with the three of them heading back home together. Soo-hyuk asks Jae-wook, "When are you going to give me more money?" Jae-wook replies, "Am I your ATM?" He then asks, "Is everything okay at school? If there's a problem, you can talk to me." Soo-hyuk scoffs. "Since when did you start caring about me?" Jae-wook then brings up Woken. Soo-hyuk says, "She was my classmate in middle school. But one day, she just vanished. Her mother killed her father and then ran away." In the next scene, we see Han sitting on the edge of a rooftop, saying to herself, "If I can save people with this power, then I will save people." Suddenly, she receives a message. "I can see the red lines too. Come meet me at Ark High School." The next morning, we are introduced to a teacher named Kyu-jin, who teaches at Ark High School. At school, Soo-hyuk is shown being bullied. Some girls are writing cruel things about her on the board. Hae-young finds a letter from Soo-hyuk and begins to read it aloud to embarrass her. Soo-hyuk tries to stop her but accidentally falls. Hae-young then starts hitting her. Just in time, their teacher arrives and restrains Hae-young. Later, we see Soo-hyuk speaking to someone, possibly Han or another student, saying, "You can't do this." She's trying to stop them from getting into a fight. But Soo-hyuk then says with determination, "I'll kill him. Can I go home now?" As she leaves, she checks her locker and finds a pair of glasses inside, the same glasses Han once used to see the red lines. She picks them up. Meanwhile, Jae-wook visits the house of the previous killer, the one with the red line surrounding his place. At home, we see Soo-hyuk wearing the glasses. Through them, she starts seeing the red lines above people's heads. Jae-wook arrives just then. When Soo-hyuk looks at him, she sees multiple S-lines on his head and is frightened. She quickly runs out. Han sees her leaving and notices something odd about her behavior. Later, Soo-hyuk is at the market. She looks at the people around her and sees red lines above their heads, finally understanding what they mean. The next morning at school, Soo-hyuk seems cheerful. The glasses are helping her make sense of the world. She sees Hae-young with two red lines above her head and follows one of the lines. To her shock, she discovers that Hae-young is having an affair with her own teacher. In the following scene, Kyu-jin introduces a new student to the class, and it's none other than Han. Han quietly walks in and sits at her desk. Meanwhile, Jae-wook also arrives at the school. He meets Kyu-jin and introduces himself. "I'm a detective, and also Soo-hyuk's uncle." He starts asking about Jangon, wanting to know if he always wore glasses. Kyu-jin tells him, "He never came here wearing glasses. He left the school some time ago." The scene then shifts again. We see Soo-hyuk at the top of the school building, where Hae-young is once again bullying her. Han arrives at the rooftop and firmly tells Hae-young, "You need to stop all of this." But Hae-young grabs Han by the collar and drags him toward the edge of the building. In a tense moment, Han clings to her tie, dangling over the ledge, and warns, "If you don't stop, I'll take you down with me." Startled, Hae-young lets go and shouts, "Are you crazy?" She then storms off. Soo-hyuk approaches Han afterward and says, "Who told you to help me?" Han asks gently, "Are you still mad at me?" Soo-hyuk retorts, "Just mind your own business." We then see Han and her cousin talking. The cousin asks, "Aren't you going to visit your niece?" Han replies, "If she even finds out I'm here, she'll be furious." From the way the cousin looks at Jae-wook, it's clear she might be interested in him. As Jae-wook is leaving the school, Soo-hyuk spots him and suspiciously asks, "What were you doing here?" In the next scene, Ji-wook is at a bar, questioning the bartender about Jongmin. The bartender tells him, "Yeah, he used to come here a lot. But he always talked to himself, and would count while staring at people." We then see flashbacks of Jongmin doing just that, counting red lines above people's heads. Ji-wook notes it down in his diary. A woman nearby remarks, "Who keeps a diary these days?" Later, the same woman is seen walking Ji-wook down the aisle, likely leading him somewhere, not a literal wedding. Meanwhile, Soo-hyuk is secretly following Hae-young. She sees her meeting the teacher, the one she's allegedly having an affair with. Later, Soo-hyuk follows them to a hotel and takes a photo before they enter. She sends the photo to Hae-young, hoping to confront her. But Hae-young dismisses it, saying, "This won't affect me. It's my teacher who will be punished." Soo-hyuk then zooms in on the teacher in the photo and gets an idea. The next morning at school, we learn that the same teacher is also involved in Soo-hyuk's new plan. She sends the photo to the teacher with a message. "Bring me 20 million won immediately. Otherwise, I'll expose this to everyone." Later, the teacher is seen scolding Hae-young in class. Later still, Hae-young confronts him on the basketball court, saying, "Why did you yell at me like that?" The teacher replies, "Everyone was around. I had no choice but to act that way." He then brings up the photo and adds, "This is all Soo-hyuk's doing." The episode ends here. If you'd like to see what happens next, let us know in the comments.